Chapter 1. The words that found us before we found ourselves. They came first. Not the people, not the moments, but the words. Words that found their way through silence and shadow. Quiet strangers on a screen or page, speaking in whispers we thought only we could hear. They weren't ours, yet somehow they belonged to us. It's strange, isn't it? How words from someone we've never met can settle inside our chest like a familiar ache. How they trace the outlines of pain we hide even from ourselves. They spoke to the parts of us that felt too broken to speak, to the corners of our soul where light hadn't yet reached. They held us in their quiet truth, and in that moment, we felt less alone. Because sometimes, before we find ourselves, before we even know our own names, these words find us first, like a soft echo in a dark room, reminding us we exist. We're here, we are seen. But it's not always comfort they bring. Sometimes these words are knives disguised as poetry. They cut into us, sharp and honest, unwrapping wounds we weren't ready to face. Quotes become mirrors and masks. We clutch them in desperation, hoping for healing, hoping for meaning. We tattoo their lines onto our hearts because the ache inside needs language. It needs a voice. They tell us to keep going, to stay strong, to trust the process, to believe in a brighter tomorrow. But what if the words aren't true? What if they're just echoes bouncing off the walls of a hollow room inside us? We hold on to these borrowed voices because our own is cracked and fragile, because our own stories are too raw to tell. And so these words become the soundtrack of our silent suffering, the poems we whisper to ourselves at 2 a.m. when the world has turned off the lights and left us alone with our thoughts. They fill the emptiness for a moment, but then the silence creeps back in, cold, relentless. Still, we search for more words, more sentences that promise meaning in the chaos, more quotes that seem to hold our fragile hearts without breaking them further. We bookmark them, we screenshot them, we repeat them like prayers. Because the truth is, sometimes these words are all we have. They find us when no one else does. When the phone stays silent, when the bed feels too big, when our reflection feels unfamiliar. They hold space for the unsaid things, the things too heavy to carry alone. And maybe that's why we cling to them so fiercely, because they say what we cannot say, because they feel like the voice of the broken, for the broken. But here's a quiet truth. These words don't fix us. They don't erase the nights spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if the pain will ever stop. They don't mend the parts of us shattered by betrayal or loss. They don't fill the hollow where love used to live. They are simply reminders that we survived, that we are still here, even when we don't know how. So when the words come, soft and haunting, let them touch you. Let them remind you that you are not alone in the darkness. But don't mistake them for the whole story, because the story you need to tell, the one only you can tell, is waiting in the silence between the words, waiting for you to find your own voice, to speak your own truth. And maybe that's the hardest part of all. Chapter 2. Stay strong. The softest lie we keep repeating. How do we keep standing when no one ever taught us how to fall? They say it like it's easy, like it's a simple instruction anyone can follow. Stay strong. 3 small words, but heavy enough to crush the softest parts of us. How do you stay strong when your soul feels torn apart? When every part of you wants to scream, to crumble, to disappear? They don't tell you that strength isn't a spark. It's a slow, exhausting burn. It's dragging yourself through a day that feels like quicksand. It's smiling when you want to scream. It's keeping your heart stitched together, even when the seams are stretched thin and ready to burst. You repeat it over and over. Stay strong, stay strong, stay strong, like a broken record stuck on the same painful loop. But what is strength, really? Is it never crying? Is it never admitting that you're scared? Strength is the quiet moments no one sees. It's the silent tears that fall when you think you're alone. It's the way you breathe deeply and keep moving forward, even when your legs feel weak and your mind whispers to give up. Because no one taught us how to fall apart. They taught us to hide the cracks, to cover the scars, to hold everything inside until it shatters in silence. We were never taught to be gentle with ourselves, to let the pain exist without judgment, to allow ourselves the grace of breaking and maybe slowly becoming whole again. So we keep telling ourselves the lie, the soft lie, stay strong, like it's some magic phrase that will heal the wounds we don't even know how to name. But it doesn't heal, it only hides the pain under a layer of expectation. The expectation that you must be brave, that you must carry the weight alone, that weakness is failure. But weakness is human. It's breathing and aching and feeling deeply. It's the other side of strength, inseparable and true. You are not failing because you hurt. You are not failing because sometimes you break. You are surviving, and survival is the most delicate kind of strength there is. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to stop pretending for a little while, because in those moments of honesty, when you admit you are fragile, you are real, you are alive, and that is enough. So yes, stay strong, but also allow yourself to fall apart. Because falling apart doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to be soft with yourself, to whisper to your own broken heart, I see you, I hold you, I will carry you. Strength is not a mask we wear for the world. It's a quiet promise we make to ourselves, a promise to keep breathing even when it hurts, a promise to keep trying even when the path is dark, a promise to remember that you are not alone, even when you feel invisible. Because in the end, staying strong isn't about never breaking. It's about finding the courage to keep going when breaking feels like the only choice left. So tonight, when the world is silent and your heart is loud, remember that strength can be soft. It can be gentle. It can be the quiet voice inside you that says, I am still here, and that is enough. Chapter 3, Beautiful Words That Were Born in Broken Places. Can beauty really bloom from the ashes of our shattered hearts? There's a quiet truth no one tells us, that some of the most beautiful words we cling to were born in the darkest corners of brokenness. They didn't come from joy. They didn't grow in light. They sprouted from pain, from loss, from nights so heavy that hope seemed like a distant, impossible dream. Every quote that feels like it understands you, every line that wraps around your heart like a warm blanket, is inked in sorrow. Poetry doesn't come from smiles. It comes from tears. The words you carry deep inside your soul, the ones that sing to your loneliness, were once whispers from someone else's wound, someone else's heartbreak, someone else's silence. They remind you that you are not alone in your suffering, that somewhere someone else sat with the same ache, the same emptiness. But beautiful words are complicated. They carry pain like a secret melody, sweet but tinged with sadness. They are not just comfort, they are confessions. They say, I have been broken too. I have bled in the dark. I have walked through fire and come out scarred. And when you read them, when you breathe them in slowly at 2 a.m., you realize they are a map of survival, a testament to the fact that pain doesn't only destroy, it transforms. Not all beauty is pure or perfect. Sometimes beauty is rough edges and faded colors. It's the remnants of something that was whole but shattered, like a cracked vase holding a wilting flower. Fragile, imperfect, but still alive. You hold those words close because they tell the truth about what it means to carry wounds that don't disappear with time. They remind you that healing is not a neat, tidy process. It's messy, it's raw, it's jagged edges and quiet moments of despair. Beautiful words teach us that pain can become art, that sorrow can speak, that grief can be gentle like a soft song even as it cuts through the silence. But they also remind us of something else, that even in the brokenness, there is meaning. That our scars are not just reminders of hurt, they are signatures of survival. Every phrase born from heartbreak is a silent shout from the parts of us that refused to give up, the parts that wanted to scream but instead whispered, the parts that bled but kept breathing. And in those whispered words, there is a strange, aching beauty. So don't be afraid to hold on to those quotes. Don't be afraid of the tears they bring, because those words are your mirror. They reflect the depth of your pain and the strength it takes to wear it without shame. They say that beauty comes from within, but sometimes beauty comes from beneath the surface, from the cracks, the breaks, the hidden wounds. Those words don't just live in books or screens, they live inside you too, waiting to be heard, waiting to be spoken out loud, softly, in the dark. Because sometimes the most beautiful words are not the ones that promise healing. They are the ones that hold your pain gently without trying to fix it. And in that holding, there is grace. Chapter 4, Let Go. But what if you were the one left hanging? How do you let go when they were the only reason you held on? Everyone tells us to let go, like it's a gentle breeze, easy to follow, like it's a soft step away from something heavy. But what happens when you're not the one choosing? When you're the one left hanging, clinging to a fraying rope while the other side just slips away without looking back? Letting go sounds peaceful, like a quiet surrender, but sometimes it feels like drowning because you weren't ready to release, because your heart wasn't done hoping, because you believed in the stories you told yourself, the promises, the laughter, the moments of light. You were holding on for two, for them and for the person you wished they could be. And then they walked away without a word, without a warning, without a backward glance. And suddenly, letting go wasn't a choice anymore. It was a forced exile, a sentence handed down in silence. You stand there holding nothing but memories and the weight of their absence. You try to untangle the years, the dreams you built together, the late night talks, the whispered I love yous, but the threads slip through your fingers like smoke. No one tells you how to be the one left behind, how to watch someone walk out and not follow, how to gather your broken pieces when the one who promised to hold them has already left. Letting go isn't a single moment, it's a slow, grinding ache, 1,000 little goodbyes you say to yourself when no one else hears. You let go of their voice, their touch, their presence in your everyday. But the hardest part, the cruelest twist, is letting go of the person you were with them, the version of yourself that loved too much, that waited too long, that believed too deeply. Sometimes the most painful part of letting go is realizing that the person you waited for was waiting for someone else. And there's no ceremony for this kind of loss, no funeral for a love that wasn't mourned because it was never fully given. You carry the silence like a scar, an echo that never fades. Let go, they say. But how do you do that when your hands still reach for a ghost? When the space they left behind feels like a canyon that swallows you whole? Sometimes letting go means walking through a fog where you can't see your own feet, where every step feels uncertain, but you keep moving anyway. Not because you want to, but because you have to. Because holding on hurts too much. Because holding on is just another way of breaking yourself. So you let go, slowly, messily, like falling leaves in autumn. Beautiful and inevitable, even when you don't want to fall. And maybe, just maybe, in the quiet that follows, you start to find yourself again. Chapter 5. Not every scar turns into strength. What if surviving doesn't mean you're strong? There's a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. We hear it everywhere, like a soft echo in every heartbreak song, every motivational post, every well-meaning advice. But what if it's not true? What if some wounds don't carve out strength? What if some scars aren't medals, but just reminders that you barely made it through? Not every scar turns into a story of courage. Sometimes scars are just scars, marks left behind when the pain was too much and you just survived, not thrived, not conquered, not risen like a phoenix, just survived. Survival is messy. It's crawling out of bed on days when the world feels heavy. It's breathing through panic that tightens your chest. It's pretending you're okay when you're not. It's the quiet battles no one sees, the silent wars fought behind closed doors. Strength isn't always loud. It's not always about heroic comebacks. Sometimes strength is the whisper inside you that says, I will try again tomorrow, even when you don't believe it. And sometimes strength feels like breaking, because some days you are weak. You cry for no reason. You crumble under memories that flood your mind. You feel empty and shattered and lost. And that's okay, because strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about carrying the cracks, knowing they're part of your story, and still choosing to move forward. It's okay if you don't feel stronger today. It's okay if you're still raw, still aching, still wondering if you'll ever be whole again. Healing isn't a race. It's not a mountain to climb in a day. Sometimes it's just surviving one moment at a time. There is bravery in admitting you're not okay, in saying out loud, I'm still hurting, in giving yourself permission to be fragile, because we live in a world that expects us to wear strength like armor, to smile when inside we're breaking, to say I'm fine was everything inside screams otherwise. But what if strength was the courage to show your cracks? What if surviving was enough, without having to prove you're stronger? The scars don't have to be trophies. They can be quiet reminders of pain endured, of battles survived, of a soul still standing even when it feels like falling apart. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to fix everything. Sometimes you just have to be, and that is enough. So How do you measure strength when survival itself feels like an endless fight?